Hello and welcome to the Rima Advocacy Podcast, where we explore advocacy in contemporary Singapore and dive into how people and communities are making things happen around the issues that they care about. If you're new here or if you've tuned in before, we are so glad to have you join us today. So, a bit of background to get that out of the way. We used to be a webinar series that explored advocacy in spaces like health, environment, Malay language and literature. So we spoke to so many advocates, practitioners, and also academics to find out more about what they advocate for. And we've gained so many new insights with every single one of them. Of course, I can't tell you which is my favorite, but what I can tell you is that all of these conversations are available on our YouTube channel, Rima Singapore, under the Live tab. So you can toggle over to the Live tab to access them all. And today in the studio with us, we have two very creative guests today from what I would say the Islamic Creative Arts space. I must say, when we were coming up with the lineup of topics, Islamic Creative Arts really wasn't something that I initially considered an advocacy space. But from what I've learned from all these different conversations that I've had over the past year, it's that advocacy really can come in very various forms. And you might even be an advocate for something, but you don't even label yourself as one. So, which makes me question, are these labels even important? And can we just do things because we have conviction or passion for it? But we'll gather more thoughts about this in this episode, hopefully. So, let's move on from my introductory ramblings. Today we have Miss Laili Abdeen from Lail Ashar and Mr. Ammar Mustafa from Pena Seraya in the studio with us. I would introduce them, but they would definitely do a better job than me. So, let's start with maybe Laili. Can you share what you do and what personally drew you into what you do in creative arts?
So, something that's like worth mentioning is also that I'm a writer, or at least I want to be a writer. It depends. It's a state of being, I think. But at the same time, I also run Laila Shire. I'm the co-founder of Laila Shire and currently the co-director. And so I'm going to like answer this question in two parts, both as as a writer myself, as well as the co-founder of Laila Shire. So as a writer, what drew me into writing and like into is like I guess like a more Islamic stance on writing, I guess, or a Muslim writing. So writing has always been my way of expressing myself and something that I found a lot of like catharsis in. And I realized that when I was quite young, actually, I'm not gonna reveal my age, so but like when I was a teenager, basically. And I knew like I think it was literature, and they said like randomly like, oh, you can write a poem, and I was like, okay, I want to write a poem, and I realized, hey, this is quite fun. And that's where it started. But it was always for myself and always for my loved ones only, until much later, and when I entered university, then I started realizing that Singapore has like this like literary community. And I was slowly like, okay, maybe I can dabble in this community. And it took like some convincing from some friends and some really good educators in my university who were like just asking me to go for it. I remember one literature teacher in secondary school was too generous with her praise. When I showed her my poem, she was like, oh my god, Laili, your writing reminds me of Rumi. And I was like, at that point, I didn't know. Yeah, that was it's too nice, too kind. I still remember that though, because it was like really inspiring for a 15-year-old to hear. And yeah, like I think those are the words that eventually like kind of pushed me more towards writing. And halfway through, I also got more interested in Muslim literature. So I can't remember which point. I think in my late teenage years, I started to realize that, oh, okay, I like reading, right? I'm a lit grad and I love literature. So I like reading a lot of books. And then I started realizing that, there are like more halal romance, for instance. Like there are other like stories that are closer to my own personal experiences. And I started reading more of that. And then after that, like I was exposed to poets. Like, so when I was in university, I was exposed to poets who were very unabashedly proud of their own identities. That's what made me realize that if they can be proud of their own respective identities, whatever it may be, like South Asian, whatever, then maybe I can also learn to like lean into my like Muslim identity. And that's when it like kind of opened my eyes to the fact that Muslim literature has like been a thing for such a long period of time, and I don't know why it took me like until like my early 20s to realize that it's a thing. And then when I found out it was a thing, like I was so excited, so it led to both me wanting to write more literature that, like, I don't even call myself necessarily a Muslim poet, but the fact that I am Muslim means that my Muslimness will always like bleed into my writing.
Right.
So that, and then I was so proud of it. I didn't feel like I had to hide it anymore and like write like some kind of white person living in UK, you know?
Yep.
And like, so that as a writer and as like for Laila Shah, I realized that, okay, I like doing this, and in my university, I also have met friends. This is a whole other tangent, so I'm not going to go into it. But I met some friends in the Muslim society who are writers themselves, and they're good. And I realized that like we don't have a space beyond our school setting to do this. And then I was like, okay, you know what? I want to create this space for like a broader local community, and that's why Laila Shar came about.
Can you explain a bit more about what Laila Ashar is?
Laila Ashar is an open mic that platforms Muslim creatives. So we've started to broaden our scope. We initially just started with Muslim poets, and then we slowly broadened it to like Muslim prose writers, like so books, fiction, and then it became like singers, and then it became like all sorts of things, comic artists, everything. So now we just call it Muslim creatives. And basically every month, what we try to do is bring in two featured speakers to come down and like share their work with the community, because I think that's the thing about Muslim literature. It has always existed and it is still thriving actually. It's just that it's very sad that we don't realize that it exists. So I think of Laila Shar as that bridge for like the rest of the community, whether they're already interested in literature or not. And these like established people to like kind of like help them find each other and find resonance and community in each other. Yeah.
Okay. I find it so interesting that you introduce yourself as you want to be a writer, or you said you are a writer and you wanted to be a writer, because I feel like what differentiates those two is the doing, and you are doing it, which is very interesting. Okay. How about Ammar from a less literary point of view?
Well, she's a writer, a poet, more eloquent. For me, I'm more of a calligrapher. So lesser words from me.
No worries. Okay.
How I started is by looking for that meaning in life. So I see that through Islam, it led me to find that meaning through beauty. So one particular font that like really captures me, that pulled me towards calligraphy, is this particular font, which is the Ta'liq font. So like the Malay saying goes, cantik, menarik, tertarik. Macam tu, So it's very beautiful, it's pulling, and it pulled me towards understanding or learning calligraphy. And that is where I pursue traditional calligraphy, which I always wanted to, in a way, have a link or to serve the Islamic civilization as a whole, to be a continuity. As for Pena Seraya, how it came about, is that the word Pena is pen, so it represents my journey in calligraphy, in my studies in the traditional Islamic studies through Al-Azhar University. So I would say that it, beauty is a splendor of truth, So through calligraphy itself is a manifestation of theology itself. Yeah, so I see that calligraphy is a means for me to, share what I love, and hopefully other people can also resonate, and there are other means of finding ways to God. So I think calligraphy can also be one of the ways. Yeah.
I think it's so interesting that calligraphy is a field of study. Like, I didn't know you could go so in depth into it. Could you share like a bit more of your experience, like, inside it, like learning about calligraphy?
Okay, for me, regarding I start with the tradition of calligraphy. I didn't know that it was like a whole field of its own. So I've started learning from 2012, and Alhamdulillah still continuing learning calligraphy. And through that I try to, share it through workshops and engagements with mosque, through even opening booths at Haji Lane, just trying it out, spreading the love for calligraphy. Yeah.
So when you open like booths at Haji Lane, what do you do?
It's basically a small shop where I sell my customized bookmark. At the same time, Haji Lane is a cultural lane, basically. So we have all kinds of people going through that lane, and you know, we don't get those kind of interaction in mosque also. Yeah, we get to interact with the non-Muslims especially, and one time there was even a non-Muslim, getting really interested and even, sitting beside me and starting to open up about his interest in Islam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I see that, it opens up into other domains of parts of religion. Yeah.
So, Islamic arts really isn't something that's usually associated with advocacy, right? So, do you personally, for example, see yourself as an advocate for example, calligraphy or for literature? And what does being an advocate mean to you? Maybe we can start with Laili.
The English teacher in me immediately had like an English answer to that. And I feel like, so every word has like its actual dictionary definition and the connotation, right? Sorry, I went. Because when I saw that question, that was the first thing I could think of. And like, so the dictionary definition of advocate is literally just when you are a proponent for something, when you support something, and right? And by that definition, yes, I think we are both advocates actually. But every word tends to have like some kind of connotation. And the thing is, the word of advocate has taken on a very political connotation. It tends to imply that you need to do something like big and like some kind of social or political impact into society. And I think that's where like certain things can start to be excluded from what can be advocated. And so when you first invited me to be part of this podcast, I remember that was one of my concerns, because I was like thinking, I don't see myself as an advocate in that sense. Oh, and another thing, advocate tends to be conflated with activist as well, which is a whole other thing. But focusing on advocate, so I don't see myself as an advocate in that sense, like that connoted meaning of advocate. But I guess if you look at the dictionary definition, yes, I am a supporter, and I truly believe in the beauty and value of like what Lail Ashar does. So Lail Ashar is essentially just like night of poetry, Lail as in night, and then Shair as in poetry in different languages. Yeah.
Okay. Do you consider yourself an advocate?
I think I share the same idea with Laili with regards to the concept of advocacy in our times right now. I would say I'm someone who loves to spread ihsan, beauty.
Beauty. Okay.
So I see that in our religion there's these three components: Islam, Iman, and Ihsan. And I see ihsan is sometimes disregarded or misread as something that is as basic as your daily adab with each other. But it's more than that. If we translate ihsan, it equates to beauty itself. So I see that, for example, through poetry itself, through calligraphy and other forms of Islamic arts itself is a way of spreading ihsan. That subtle way of spreading ihsan, by just how I was captured by the font itself. It was ihsan made by that particular calligrapher that led me towards a deeper understanding and deeper appreciation of my religion.
Okay, so speaking of ihsan and beauty, right? What has been perhaps one rewarding thing that has happened since you started running Pena Seraya?
Through booths, people start to realize there's this form of art also in a way, and through workshop where people get to try using the traditional reed pen and uh, dipping their ink and learning the traditional way of, we start with a dot. The dot is the measurement of all things for calligraphy. So the moment they manage to do the dots, they manage to do the alif according to the right measurement, I think that has been rewarding for me, seeing people able to do it even with zero knowledge of calligraphy.
Interesting. Okay, how about you?
What I found most rewarding, right? I think very similar but in like the context of Laila Shar. So I've talked about like how Laila Shar brings in featured people who have established themselves in the poetry scene. But essentially how an open mic functions is that we also allow people who have never performed sometimes or have performed maybe even to like very smaller groups, maybe their schools or something. And basically anyone can come, and we have a few slots and they can just come and perform whatever works they have. And to me, my most rewarding thing is like watching these people who come for one session and then suddenly they come for more, 1, 2, and then next thing you know they are almost like regulars with us. And you can watch and almost trace the growth and evolution of them as writers. I am so like mashallah proud to say that I have seen at least 2 to 3 writers now who initially started off as like very much like whether they're just new to this like practice or whether they are like maybe just like have been doing it on their own for the longest time. They came to Laila Shar and that was a stepping stone for them to meet and network with other people in the community. And then next thing you know, they are now so beloved beyond Laila Shar, like in the Singapore literature community themselves. And and some of them are really young. Like we have 16, 17-year-olds, mashallah.
Yes.
Like they're so talented. And like it's so nice to see them being recognized by the rest of the community. And seeing, I think at the end of the day, for Laila Shar, I think it really started off as a place of representation. So it's just so nice to see more Muslim writers being recognized and acknowledged in the scene. That's something so beautiful for me.
Is it similar to you, like when you host workshops or your booths? Are there like recurring like people that come and you recognize them?
So far, not. There's no recurrence, to be honest. But they ask for continuity.
Okay.
They seek. Maybe they are also experiencing what I experience. That touch of beauty through calligraphy. So a lot of them wanted to have that continuity through classes, basically. So inshallah I'll be doing classes in the future.
That's so
Mashallah,
encouraging.
so fun, yeah.
Actually, have you both met in like any?
Surprise, have we?
Al-Falah, is it?
What was it? Last year, right?
Yeah, I think there was a collab with Al-Shad.
Yes, last year.
Oh.
Were you
So-
there as well?
I think so.
Right. Okay. I'm so sorry. Like I think
it?
that day was
Yeah.
like was a
Seni
family
Seni,
day,
did
right?
you like join
We
Seni
did
Seni
Sen-
during Ramadan?
This year, yes.
Yeah, I was there too.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Wow.
So your
alhamdulillah, we
circles
crossed
do
path,
run.
Yeah, I think.
Very interesting.
Sorry, I couldn't help but make this connection in my brain. If you think about it, like the Quran itself is poetry, mashallah. Like it's its own form of poetry. And like I mean, I've as a lit student, when I really like started to think of it from that lens, when I look at the Quran, I can't see it the same way anymore. It's like poetry. And it has been transformed into calligraphy in itself. Like there's so many different ways of like writing the same words, right? So there's like poetry and like calligraphy are actually hand in hand. One is the content of sorts and one is the medium,
form.
right? The form.
Yeah.
Okay, so since we've already been discussing a lot about like what's rewarding, maybe something more like more negative. Okay, let's start with Ammar. Have there been any like challenges or resistance that you've encountered in the process of like opening up Pena Seraya?
So far, no resistance. But challenges, maybe some places depends on the number of engagement that maybe that particular mosque is able to engage. At the same time, which translates to the number of participants for the workshops. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like a roller coaster. Sometimes you're up, sometimes down.
So it's just you hosting the calligraphy workshop? Just one person, or do you have people helping you?
Yeah, my wife is like assisting me
Okay.
in the like through organizing itself and the administrative parts. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
Other than that, not much challenges
Mm.
for calligraphy for me lah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's just the number of like turnouts sometimes.
Yeah, the number
is
of turnouts. Yeah.
I think to some extent we like have similar challenges as well. Both in the sense of our open mics. So like our monthly open mics. Initially it started out really strong. Like we had like oh my god, we filled up Wardah, like mashallah. I was like so shocked that like I was just shocked that I've never seen Wardah that full also, like wow. And then along because we've been running for about 2.5 years now. And now you can start to see that it's more intimate and everything. It's not necessarily a bad thing because sometimes you get to give more focus and everything, right? But yeah, so the sign-ups are a bit lower. And also when we run workshops also, that's a very similar problem we have. Like so when we run writing workshops, it's almost very hard to guarantee like a good amount of people to like have a very meaningful session. Sometimes it's too small, which is great because they get more feedback, but it's just that for the discussion it might not be as like you don't get as many different perspectives. But I think the challenge that I think that is most relevant to Laila Shar, especially as we are trying to navigate this space of being like our own Muslim open mic, but also like still being in the larger Singapore literature community, is unfortunately a very basic challenge of still trying to educate the public the difference between Malay and Muslim.
Okay.
And like people still conflating Laila Shar as a Malay organization when very much we are trying to platform like the Muslim identity instead. So like amongst the founders ourselves, like me and my like co-founder, right, we are both not I'm not Malay Muslim at all, and she's half Malay Muslim at most. So it's something that we are still trying like so, but it's great that we are doing this because whenever people like ask us like, oh, can you do like a Malay program, and we're like, okay, we don't specialize in Malay poetry, we can do like an English translated version of it, we don't mind hosting in English, but like yeah, is that something you're willing to accommodate to? Yeah, so I think just like helping people understand what we are, because I think we still unfortunately get boxed into like we're doing Malay poetry, which is I think very disingenuous to what we're actually doing, because we're all sorts of people. We've had people perform poems in Urdu, we've had people perform poems in Arabic, mashallah, recently Arabic as well, like all sorts of different languages. And even when we say like the like Muslim identity, right? It's not like that we necessarily every poem has to like quote a sunnah or a verse or something like that. It's just that our identity as Muslims and how it sometimes just bleeds into our writing as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you also mentioned one of your challenges is the turnout rates, right? So how do you like tackle that?
You move forward.
Yeah.
Uh,
To the next
yeah,
one.
to the next one.
Okay.
You just continue with sharing with regards to calligraphy, giving awareness to the diverse fonts of calligraphy and how these fonts actually represents the identity of that particular, how that font started basically. Yeah. So that's why I share during the workshops basically.
So during your workshops, you don't only like teach them calligraphy, but also like the history of it.
Yes. The history, the meaning of calligraphy, how it started, and even our own particular font in our region itself, the Malay world, we have our own font. So I think that's one of the things that I actually wanted to share with regards to calligraphy, is that wherever that Islam touches, Islam is like clear water. Each civilization is like having their own designs, different kind of cups. So Islam is like that clear water that shines the cup. Yeah. So even something that is, I would say, underrated is the history of Islam in our region
Yeah.
itself. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think from what Laili shared,
Like conflation, right?
conflation,
Like,
yeah, the
saying it's the
conflation,
same.
that would happen because of how the Malay experiences Islam itself. How they really, go beyond the color of their skin. The, that kind of misunderstanding sometimes, or lack of awareness
Yeah.
towards the Malay kind of experience with Islam is something that I also share during the workshops.
Yeah.
I think we didn't really explore what Pena Seraya meant. What exactly does Seraya means, and
Oh,
like
yeah.
what did it mean to you?
So I already explained the pena part, which is the tradition linking to the calligraphy tradition and the Azhari tradition. And for the Seraya is coming from the word or from an island named Seraya itself. Yeah.
Okay.
So it was one of the island that is now converged into Jurong Island. Yeah. So being a descendant of that island, which I never experienced before, having that idea of Seraya is like
Some remembering your roots.
remembrance, a kind of remembrance, towards something that is not there, but you feel that kind of longing. Yeah, so I
So
see
interesting.
the journey of calligraphy is also a journey of longing. Yeah, so all
That's
of us.
poetry.
Yeah.
It is. It
Yeah,
is.
poetry.
I was snapping in my head.
Do you think there are sufficient creative spaces in Singapore for Singaporeans?
For those who are in this line, they have to be creative themselves to create their own space.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it is not expected to be provided these spaces, but I think if we ask around, and we are more open towards maybe challenging ourselves, because sometimes we feel, a bit, in our own community. But I think there are spaces that allow for other forms of art. So
Okay. So in, for example, the calligraphy, Islamic calligraphy space, how does it look like in Singapore? Like, what's the landscape like? Because for me personally, I don't really know much about it. So is there a landscape?
when I started to learn calligraphy, then that is where I start to see the need to dig the history of calligraphy in Singapore itself. But I think there's been that gap basically, or there's been maybe one or two, maybe a small number of people doing calligraphy on their own. But for now, having to take from the Ottoman tradition of calligraphy, so I can see that it's starting to get known in this region itself, and including in Singapore, through Bustan Khat, where I learned my calligraphy from my Ustazah Atika Suhaimi. I think she's been doing great work in sharing calligraphy, and also Ustazah Fatia also. It's also sharing this space, trying to give more awareness towards the beauty of calligraphy itself. But at the same time, for now, I see that it's still within the Islamic space. But Alhamdulillah, I recently managed to do one booth with Bukit Batok CC for Mid-Autumn Festival.
Okay.
Yeah, so we did Jawi. So we have this station where they can just, free to try. Just try and trace the word in Jawi. So we have the word unity, and then we have the Chinese word for unity, and we have the word kesatuan in Jawi. So, we see diverse kind of people trying out.
This
At first I was
for
like,
Mid-Autumn Festival.
Mid-Autumn Festival.
So interesting.
Yeah.
They called you.
Yeah, Bukit Batok CC
Okay.
was. Yeah. So I think that was to represent the Malay segment. Yeah, so my wife, she shared lots of ideas with regards to sharing about calligraphy, so we did that. Yeah.
Okay.
So Alhamdulillah, the turnout was very diverse,
Mm.
from young to old, from all kinds of races. Alhamdulillah.
That's always very encouraging. How about you? What does the landscape look like for you? And also, the question was, do you think there are sufficient creative spaces in Singapore?
Oh yeah, I think for us, because poetry in Singapore is actually something that has existed long before me. So I don't want to claim credit to anything actually. In fact, because of the long tradition of like Singaporean poets, and I mean, if you want to go far back, poets in general, right? Then this well before me. In terms of creative spaces in Singapore, I think there have been a lot of people who have been advocating for these kinds of spaces. And I think what has been coming up more and more recently is recognizing that we need more niche spaces. So, for example, open mics have always existed in Singapore.
Yep.
Okay, I don't know always, but for a while now. Okay, I think at least like 20 years plus already. But yeah, I just started to realize that we needed like a space like this actually from a more practical standpoint, like because very simple things like okay, if your open mic starts at 7, when do I solat maghrib? Can I solat maghrib? But also there's another problem of people are drinking or like it's at a bar, then I won't even step into it, and most Muslims won't even step into it. So that's why the niche came up. Like, so in terms of having creative spaces, yes, but do we have enough that are representative or suitable to our various like whatever interests, our identities and everything? I guess that's a different question. So for like Muslim poetry, I think the people exist. I want to like emphasize this. Like, I'm not like some kind of person who came in and like discovered these people. No, the people exist and have always existed, and they are doing great on their own. It's just that I think in terms of awareness by the community, it's not always there, which is sad. So that's all we want to do. I think the creative spaces, I would say the creative people exist.
Yep.
The platforms to like kind of the places to platform these kinds of people, that's what was missing all along. And I think hopefully Laila Shire fills a small part of that gap. Yeah.
Okay. So, in your years in like the landscape, you have been doing this for like Asha for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
How long have you been?
Around the same.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, have you observed any macam developments in appreciation or engagement with like Islamic arts in the community, whether it's Muslims or non-Muslims? Like, what has the feedback been like for you?
I see that there are increasing numbers of people getting into Islamic arts in the form of calligraphy or in the form of the Islamic geometric patterns.
Yeah.
And I think poetry can also is also included as part of the Islamic arts. And particularly for calligraphy, that's why I don't have the numbers, but I see just through my own engagement, through my workshops, and how I see that there's increasing number of people wanting to have that continuation. Yeah, so I see that that's a positive thing.
Is it similar for you, like?
Yeah, I think like your question was about how like
Developments in
the
the
developments
space.
in the space, right? And I think like I'm going to talk more about, because I think you talked about like the community itself, and I've also touched on how like more people are like learning about like the writers and everything, so I'm not going to repeat myself too much there. But I'm more interested to talk about how like the scene has welcomed and embraced us. I think that was something I was very like hesitant and worried about. Like, are we too niche? Maybe we will only be embraced by the Muslim community and not so much like the rest of the community, the writing community. And we have been so thoroughly embraced, like alhamdulillah, because I think it was just something that was sorely missing. Like, I think no one realized that this was something that was missing, and no one realized that like what Islamic or Muslim poetry and writing can look like before us. I think and this was interesting because both Muslims and non-Muslims didn't realize what this kind of writing could look like. So I have people always coming up to me and telling me like, oh, like sometimes writers themselves, after they perform, they tell me, and this is I think the most chilling, like mashallah, beautiful moment ever. Like they tell me that thank you for this space, because through this space, through my writing, I get to grow closer to Islam and like my love of God through this. And I'm like that's essentially it, right? Like that's the point of us being here on this earth, right? Like we want to do things like this, and to know that we can do this through something we truly like care about, like love, and that is beauty and art. is in the form of poetry, I think that itself is something like an achievement for me already. And so, yeah, I think there are more people who are embracing, like, to answer your question more directly, like the development. I think more people are realizing that, and non-Muslims also just realizing that perhaps they had like certain either stereotypes or they don't even think about like what this kind of genre of writing looks like, and then they see it and they were like, oh, I didn't know that's a thing, or this could exist like that.
So your audience who comes to Lail Ashar is not only Muslims?
Yeah, we make it a point that yes, we want to platform like Muslim writers and creatives, but in terms of audience who can come, anyone, please, like, bring your friends, bring your family. We really don't mind. Like, I think we've had like little kids also come and everything, or like people of various age groups, of all races, religions, whatever. Because to us, it's just, if you like writing and poetry and literature, and you have an open heart and mind to listen to people of this particular faith share their writing and works, then please come. Please come. And like, if you can take anything away from it, please go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. So since you talked about like the larger some landscape or literary landscape and how they are welcoming, right?
Yeah.
How does LAS's work interact with the larger scene of national poetry initiatives in Singapore?
I think that is something that we're still trying to find our footing in. I think it's like both a bit of a push and a pull, in that sense, where like we also have to do more to get ourselves into the national poetry, because I think it's different when you talk about like the scene itself and the people welcoming you, and like if you're talking about something like the Singapore national poetry, right, that becomes more like a canon. And for a canon to develop, like for it to be like, okay, like for example, just to explain what a canon means for people who are not in literature, sorry, a canon is just like a work of art that's established as like, this is a recognizable work of literature, body of literature for this particular genre. So for example, Singaporean literature, you might think of specific people like Alfian Sa'ad, or you might think of Arthur Yap, or whatever, you know, like whoever it may be. So for Muslim literature to find its own like fit, like space in this canon of literature, of Singapore literature and poetry in specifically, I think that is something that I don't think I can do it alone, definitely. And I don't think can happen even like in 1-2 years. This is something that will take like a lot of time. Because there needs to be enough people in the scene, enough like work to be done to kind of pull these things. Because like I said, the people exist, the writing exists. It just hasn't been drawn and like put together. So that's what we've been trying to do. The closest I think we have done to kind of answer what you're asking is perhaps we did put an anthology together. So we have like a Laila Sharban anthology, volume 1. It's called The Opening Act, because in lieu of like our first surah, right, Al-Fatiha. And so we actually got like a group of, like, we had about 20 submissions that we selected and we put together. So that is our contribution so far. And inshallah, there'll be more next time, but it will take time and a lot of work. Yeah.
Okay. And I know we talked about the calligraphy landscape in Singapore, but what do you think is Pena Saraya's role in the larger calligraphy space in Singapore? I'm sure you interact with like many other calligraphers.
Yeah, so I can remember once with a Chinese calligrapher during that Mid-Autumn Festival. They were having their own booth of Chinese calligraphy. So I tried Chinese calligraphy, and the calligrapher said, "Hey, come join me. You can write." So I say, "Okay, yeah." So I see that, from there, that's something that I can tell that there's this openness towards other people joining other forms of calligraphy itself. So I'm hoping that maybe we can have Arabic calligraphy or Islamic calligraphy to a point where it's being accepted just like maybe at the level of Chinese calligraphy. Yeah. So I think that would be a good goal to aim at.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So what do you want the future of Islamic creative arts to look like, perhaps?
To be more open, more accepting of other people, As I think modern times, it's a very challenging time for people to find meaning, to find themselves, to find their own identity. So I see that the creative spaces or Islamic art spaces, or Islamic arts in general, have always been there. It's like basically a tree. It's always there, bearing fruits. But it's up to the people to have that awareness. That there's this tree out there. There's always giving us this medicine. This life where we can, sit under the tree, having shade by it. So I think that would be a good place for the Islamic arts to be as natural as possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying more openness and more awareness for the Islamic creative arts scene. Okay. And you echo the same sentiments?
Yeah, a lot of similar sentiments. I think if I might add, the only difference is that I think Muslim and like Islamic literature struggles from the same issues struggles with the same issues as like literature in general. That is, if you say you study literature or if you want to write poetry, the first response you will get is, "Wow, so cheap. I don't think I can understand, or I don't think I can do it." And like you get this across the board. It's not like just like a Muslim thing or anything. It's like when you talk about literature in general. So I think there's always this like friction, people thinking that I cannot do it. Like they tell themselves that there's a barrier between them and like calligraphy or poetry or whatever arts, right? But actually I think we don't realize how much we actually need it. Like, and how it can really be like our own way of like processing, of like understanding the world, like writing in general, right? I'm personally of a belief that like there's no such thing as you're not a writer. Everyone's a writer. We all write. We have all written at some point. And personally, I hope for like more openness in people to embrace like the fact that they can themselves be part of this community. It's not something that is niche, not something that is exclusive. Like we are ready to embrace them as long as you yourself give yourself permission to come join us. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What I'm hearing is maybe like people find it a bit inaccessible to maybe go to a calligraphy class or maybe to attend open mics. So I'm also thinking like the big role of social media, right? So what role does social media play in like how you do outreach to people?
Yeah.
Do you do outreach via social media or?
Actually, I think not much from me. I don't usually post. Maybe right after a certain workshop or booth or something. But I think the power of social media can really push the kind of Islamic arts because of its beauty, basically. So I think people would stop their reel for something that is beautiful.
Yeah.
I have seen your page. It's quite beautiful.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
On Instagram, Reina Seraya. Okay.
Yeah, so that's
Yeah. I think like we owe a lot of our reach actually to social media. Because how Laila Shah started off was really like me and my friend thinking like this would be nice to do. But very, very, very honestly speaking, we thought it was gonna be a one-off thing. At most maybe once a year, maybe. I don't know. We didn't even think that far. We thought just one-off. And like I think because we brought in someone like Amira Aslam, and she has her own reach and everything. And so when it was being posted on social media, next thing you knew, mashallah, like so many people heard about us and everything. And until today, it still shocks me how much our reach has gone. Like people sometimes come up to me and be like, "You're the one who runs Laila Shah." I'm like, "How do you mean? I don't even know you." Like a micro celebrity.
Real.
Yeah, but anyways, like I think like Laila Shah's like I don't want to use the word prominence. I don't know how prominent we are, but like people's awareness of our existence has a lot to do with like word of mouth and social media actually, and people like reposting us, people sharing, and I think it also like helps with the like what you were asking previously about that openness, right? I think people think that it's not meant for them until they see that actually there are a lot of things that resonate with them. So like I had like friends, family who thought like poetry is not for them. And then they saw like what I've posted and everything, and they were like, actually, I like that. That was I can relate to that, you know. And then they started coming for events. Some of them volunteered, whatever, you know. Like, so I think social media can really like break down a lot of the barriers that might have existed to it, with this like space. Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of social media and tech, I'm also wondering, right, like, do you think AI will be able to replicate whatever that you guys do? Do you think AI will be able to take over your calligraphy job?
We leave it up to AI. It wants to take over, but I think it has better things to do for AI. Because for me, any form of art, especially if it comes from the human, it's really something that cannot be replicated. So there will be a different feel to something that is being printed and something that is being written.
Have you seen AI calligraphy?
Yeah,
Islamic
but
calligraphy?
it's not there yet.
Okay,
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
Yes, Alhamdulillah.
But if it reaches there, also no worries. Inshallah.
Okay.
Yeah.
His job is secure. He's like, I believe in my writing.
Yeah. So again, I think AI can help with calligraphy in terms of maybe generating new ideas, or maybe planning some new form of writing calligraphy. But again, it comes to the human themselves,
Yeah.
as the vessel of beauty.
Okay. I'm glad to hear.
Yeah.
Yep. I remember asking you this question when you were a guest speaker at Al Falah.
Oh yeah.
But you said I don't want to answer that question.
Unfortunately, like I think we are in a space. Oh, this is so okay. Sorry. Okay, so I think we're in a world that is like really excited or feels like they have to embrace AI for whatever reason, right? And sure, but like in the context of poetry, I do know of people who have tried like that either for fun, like just trying to see whether AI can write poetry, and also like seriously trying to write poetry through AI. And personally, I feel like all art, whether it's poetry, calligraphy, like pictures, drawings, photography, it comes from a soul. Like art is like an expression of your soul. Like if there is no soul in your work of art, personally, by my definition, it's not art.
Okay.
I don't think it can be counted or qualified as art if there's no soul to it. Likewise, if you go into more specifically like Islamic arts, right, or Islamic like calligraphy, poetry and everything, the chat GPT ashadu already. Because like how can a machine, however smart it may be, fully understand the deep experiences of being Muslim in today's day and age, or just like being Muslim in general? You have never gone through the experiences of being Muslim. So yes, you can come close to it based on the data you've collected, but it will never touch on the soul of being Muslim. Like the day I hope I'll never regret these words. But the day
Okay.
the day AI is able to like properly write like any piece of writing or poem about like the struggle, for example, of iman, like how like our iman fluctuates and how difficult that is to grasp, like despite the fact that we know we love Islam and we know we love our God, but like still like dealing with life and the dunya, right? Like if AI can replicate and write about that in a good piece of poetry,
by all
maybe
means.
I will I will raise my hand and be like, okay, good job, you win this round. But until then, no. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let's bring it back to the now future. What's next, I guess, for Pena Seraya?
Yes, for Penang Seraya, has always been about continuation. Looking for the next generation of calligraphers, maybe, to pass on this knowledge. At the same time, that is how I see life has always been. It's about passing on, and us just being that bridge or vessel for the next generation to continue the beauty through its art. Yeah.
Similar thoughts?
I think for Laila Shar, because the beauty of Islamic calligraphy, it's a taught art, right? Like you have to learn from teachers and everything. It's not like, I think actually poetry, you can technically just pick up a pen and just start writing, as long as it's not AI. Yeah, like you can just pick up a pen and start writing, or like start typing your phone. So technically anyone can do it, and that's great. But so our set of challenges, or not challenges, like what we're looking at moving forward, is more of sustainability actually. So so currently Laila Shar is being run by me, my co-founder, and my fellow co-director, and the three of us, so my co-founder Zubaida and my co-director Sarah, the three of us are all leading our respective lives, and like we run on a purely volunteer basis. So all our volunteers also have their own respective lives, whether being students or working, or students who are working. And yeah, and that means that like everyone's time is very finite, even more finite because of all the commitments, right? And we are still trying to find a way to make it like sustainable for all of us to like continue running this in a way that benefits the community and still provides the community what they need, but also like so that none of us like burn out and like come to a point where we have to stop completely because of whatever reasons. So for now it's just continuity, but in the sense of like continuity for now still status quo. We haven't thought of like beyond what we are usually doing yet for now. I think because we are all just trying to make sure it still can run. Yeah.
Okay. I guess sustainability and like leaving legacy is something that is common, like it's a common thread throughout like a lot of different advocacy causes. And yeah, I think the real challenge is to get people to like believe in your cause, right? But yeah, actually that's all the time we have for today. We hope that the conversation has given you some insight regarding the Islamic art scene in Singapore. I personally didn't know there were so many like overlaps between like poetry or literature and calligraphy, even though like we label it as a big umbrella of Islamic arts, right? And I think it's so important to keep the various arts in its various forms alive, because it makes up so many of the things that we consume today. You know, there has been that debate about how creativity in Singapore is dead, but actually I really don't think so. Like, case in point, both of you and like the communities that you affect, I feel like it's not dead. So things like, for example, Singapore Writers Festival, things like open mics, things like calligraphy workshops, and now like SG60 Culture Pass, like you can use your like those things to immerse yourself in it. Are you under the
Inshallah.
SG Culture Pass? Oh,
Inshallah.
inshallah. Okay. Yeah. So actually, we do have more power than we think we do, and we get to decide what forms of arts live or disappear with time when we support local and we create demand for it. So a big thank you to our guests for being so generous with their time and stories, and thank you for listening. Till next time, take care, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you.